Hi, everyone. Well, to all the 10 people or so who came to class there, and you can see I still don't have internet. Well, maybe you can't see. I don't know how the screen is showing you guys here, but unbelievable. I just can't believe I'm just not getting lucky with this class. But anyway, let's start again, shall we? The digestive system here, and now I've just got to turn my phone off so that it doesn't just keep buzzing and beeping. There we go. Ugh, get out of here. Technology, you love it there when it works, right? But when it doesn't, which is a lot of the time, it just, okay. There's my rant for the day. Let's get into some good stuff here. So, we talked about there. I'll post the two videos there. But no, let's just we'll start again here. So we'll look at the 4 different functions of the digestive system, explain the process of digestion and absorption. We'll look at the 4 layers. We'll look at some nerves and membranes. Then we'll look at the accessory organs: pancreas, gallbladder, liver. These ones here. So digestion refers to mechanical and chemical breakdown of food. Okay, you've got mechanical digestion, which is like chewing, right? Breaking down large pieces of food into smaller ones. Doesn't change the composition. Like if you chew a banana and you swallow that banana, it's still a banana for the time being. You haven't changed it. It's just mechanical digestion, breaking it down. Chemical, like once it enters the stomach there, the chemistry of it is starting to change, where you're breaking larger macromolecules into smaller ones, like protein down into amino acids. There, the chemistry has been changed. Finally, their excretion. Okay, all the things there that we do not need from our food, it all gets excreted out. Okay, we'll get there. We'll get there. Just a shot here of the digestive system, the alimentary canal. Okay, as it's called there, right from rooter down to tutor. You've got the salivary glands located in the mouth, the pharynx. There's the 3 parts to the pharynx, just different regions. This is just the area there behind the mouth. Okay, the esophagus, the stomach, small intestine, the 3 parts. You've got the large intestine. Okay, pancreas. Okay. And then we've got the gallbladder itself. So lots of good stuff going on in here. And then the biggest of them all, the liver, which basically is almost superhuman. All right. So the alimentary canal there is about 8 meters in length. Okay. And like if you're going to, if you go hunting and you catch a deer, per se, or an animal, one of the first things you do is you remove the alimentary canal from the animal, because it contains feces and all these things there that you do not want getting into the meat itself. Okay, yeah, interesting just to see it removed in this fashion. Okay, just another shot here: the mouth, the pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine. Okay, and then you have the large intestine, and then the rectum as well, and then the accessory organs located here. Okay. The 4 layers of the digestive tract, and I mean from rooter to tutor, you'll encounter the same 4 layers. And you'll see there that you have the mucosa layer on the inside. Okay, and you'll notice there that has these frills, these invaginations there. It's all about increasing the amount of surface area, right? Then you have the submucosal layer. This is where you start getting into the blood and the nutrients for absorption. Okay, because the food is traveling through this lumen, right? And whatever is absorbed passes through, and it's got to eventually make it back to the blood, but it doesn't go back to the blood immediately. It first goes through the liver. Then you have the muscularis layer, okay, and then the outside tough serosa layer. The mucosa, the inner layer of the wall, consists of epithelial cells there, okay, carries on secretion and absorption of dietary nutrients, Okay, and you'll see there that how does a Big Mac combo actually get digested and absorbed in your small intestine in about 1.5 meters, and 2 meters? How does that even happen? The reason is because you'll see these villi in here. The whole idea is about increasing surface area, and surprisingly enough, there's enough surface area in here about the size of a tennis court. So there's lots of room for that Big Mac combo to get absorbed. Okay, that's your mucosa layer. Moving on out there is the submucosa. This is where the blood vessels, nerve vessels are. Okay, and it's all about absorption and carrying that food away. Okay. The muscularis there, it has 2 layers of smooth muscle, one going one way, the other going another. Okay, it's all about mixing and mashing the food through peristalsis. That's the whole idea there. And you can go on YouTube and you can see somebody drinking a glass of water standing on their head. That's because the muscle action of the esophagus is carrying that water away towards the stomach. Now, it'll happen whether you're standing upright or standing on your head. Okay, peristalsis is the muscular movement there, moving food around in the alimentary canal. Then the outside layer here, you have the serosa. Okay, this is the outer serous layer of visceral peritoneum, as it's also called. Protects the underlying tissue, secretes serous fluid, so we don't have any friction going on as far as other organs. Okay, so there are your 4 layers. Perfect. Mouth, the scientific word there for chewing is mastication. Okay, you'll see there the tongue for swallowing. We have the salivary glands. Okay, you have the parotid, submandibular, and sublingual underneath the tongue. Okay, there's the hard and soft palates, uvula, palatine, tonsil there. And here's a really good slide there. I always ask a question or two from these ones here on this particular quiz, which would be quiz 5. Okay, quiz 4 goes out there either this afternoon or tomorrow, and it'll be on the cardiovascular system. Okay, I think that's what weeks 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so it's a big one there, the quiz that goes out there this week. You see the cheeks there holds the food in. The lips there have a huge amount of sensory receptors, nerve endings there, judging whether you like food or not, particular food. The tongue there has taste buds. Okay. The palate there, the hard palate, holds the food into the mouth and actually directs it back. When you swallow, it directs that food back. The teeth there break food apart into smaller pieces, help mix the food there with saliva during chewing, because the saliva there, as we said, this is involved in digestion process right off the bat. If you chew a piece of bread there for 5 minutes and don't swallow it, it'll turn into some gelatinous, disgusting mess. It's a good experiment there with the kids to teach them there that a piece of bread is basically 100% sugar. And if you chew a piece of bread there for 5 minutes, it turns into this yucky mess, but don't swallow. You'll see there that the salivary glands will produce an enzyme called amylase, which starts to break down that bread within your mouth, and eventually in a couple of minutes that piece of bread starts to taste sweet, like sugar, because that's what starch is, sugar. Just a cross section of the teeth there. I don't go into the teeth at all, really. The whole idea there that what you see above the gum there is actually the crown. Okay. The whole idea here that where the gum actually meets the crown, they call that there the gingiva. And we've all heard of that disease there, gingivitis, if you don't brush your teeth. And you need to brush your gums as well, because when those gums start to recede, okay, then you'll see underneath here starts to become exposed, right? And then the more exposure there, cavities, the problem. Yes, very good. Here we have a sagittal section of the mouth, the nasal cavity, and the pharynx. Okay, when food passes through the pharynx, it is directed into the esophagus and not the trachea because of the epiglottis. So you'll see there, this whole area here is called the pharynx. Down below here, you have the laryngopharynx, the oropharynx in here, and then we have the nasopharynx, this area right in here. And it's quite interesting there when we get into the nasal conchae here, when we get into respiration. You see it's all about surface area in here. But you'll see there the food comes in, okay, and it's directed back into the oropharynx. The food comes down here and pushes down the epiglottis, okay, because this is the esophagus. This is where you want the food to go. You do not want the food going into your trachea, okay, because that'll be a choking. So the food comes down, pushes down the epiglottis, and then slides down the esophagus, okay. Why is it dangerous to administer fluids orally to a comatose or semi-comatose person? They don't have this swallowing mechanism in place, okay, because they're unconscious, and food can get into the trachea, and that would be horrible. Choking. International sign of choking is 2 hands around the neck. The esophagus is a muscular food passageway from the pharynx to the stomach, about 25 centimeters, penetrates the diaphragm through what we call the esophageal hiatus, okay. Muscular gland because of the in the submucosa, okay. Lower esophageal sphincter surrounds the lower end. So you'll see there that there's a sphincter, okay, which is just a ring of muscle, and it's located there at the top of the stomach. Okay, that's your lower esophageal sphincter. There's another sphincter at the bottom of your stomach, okay, called your pyloric sphincter. We'll get more into those. They just open and close to let food in and let food out. And there is an electron, there's a shot there of the actual, somebody's actual esophagus. And you'll see there you still have the same 4 layers. The motor functions of the alimentary canal are of 2 types. Okay, you've got mixing movements and propelling movements. Okay, mixing movements here, we're talking about segmentation, where you're mixing different foods and mixing them all around. It's all about surface area, right? The segmentation occurs there in the small intestine, aids mixing by alternative contracting and relaxing the smooth muscle in each of the area. Then you have the propelling movement. Here we're into the peristalsis, okay? A ring of contraction and something's wrong here. Oh, I know. Okay, it won't let me. Okay, peristalsis. Okay, I'll just write that. There you go. So, very good. And this is the whole idea of moving food through the tube. Okay, just wave-like motions there allows the food there to propel through. Stomach functions there, regulates the rate of gastric emptying. Okay, secretes gastric juice, including hydrochloric acid. Very dangerous acid. You had this there on your tabletop, it would burn right through it. Okay, our stomach has a very, very low pH, and that is the whole point there. It breaks down food into its smaller constituents, but it's also, you know, lots of bacteria can come in through that way, and it's just an antiseptic measure there to control bugs from getting into our inner sanctum, so they say. Secretes gastric hormones, also intrinsic factor. Digest limited amounts of food. Okay, there is some food there that can be broken down. Even alcohol can be absorbed through the stomach lining. Here's a beautiful shot there of the stomach itself. There's your lower esophageal sphincter, a ring of muscle there. Okay, doesn't allow food to come back up because you don't want this acid up in here, because your stomach, while your stomach is protected from the acid, okay, the stomach produces a lot of mucus which coats it, okay. The esophagus there has considerably less amount of mucus there, so an acid reflux burn would be the case if acid got up in here, which we don't want. The lower end of the stomach there, you have what's called the pyloric sphincter, another ring of muscle that once food has been digested to as best as it can there for the stomach, it allows it to go down into the duodenum there, the small intestine. Okay, different parts of the stomach here. The biggest part, you have the body. Okay, you see this area that kind of jets up. Okay, we call that there the fundus. There's another organ there that has a fundus, that is the uterus. Okay, there's a portion of the uterus that also extends up. All right. Down here, close to the pyloric sphincter, you have what's called the pylorus. And you'll see these ridges in here. And again, it's all about surface area. And these are kind of like the traction on the tire treads. Like you need your winter tires, right? And you need that good traction there in the wintertime. Well, that's what's going on in here. This gives the stomach some traction, increases the surface area of the stomach, and allows the stomach there to move food around as needed. Okay. You'll see there the muscle of the stomach. You've got longitudinal, oblique, circular. It's all about mixing and mashing. Good word there called chyme. That is that acidic sludge mess of food that is now in the stomach. Okay, that is called chyme, and it's all through peristalsis. All the different muscle layers there for moving the food around and its contents. Gastric secretions, there's a couple of them here there that I do want you to know. Gastric glands within the thick mucosa of the stomach open into the lumen as gastric pits. Okay. The gastric glands generally contain three types of secretory cells. You've got mucus cells, also called goblet cells. These ones here produce mucus, and that protects the stomach lining from the acid. Okay. You have chief cells. Okay. They secrete an inactive pepsinogen, which is activated when it comes in contact with hydrochloric acid and changes into pepsin. And now this is the active form for protein digestion. Now, where does the hydrochloric acid come from? It's made by the parietal cells. Okay, this hydrochloric acid is produced. Okay, and the whole point there, it changes the inactive pepsinogen made by the chief cells into active pepsin for protein digestion. So you've got mucus cells that produce mucus, chief cells that produce pepsinogen, which is inactive, parietal cells that produce hydrochloric acid, which changes inactive pepsinogen into active pepsin. Okay, good stuff. Love it. Just some more information here. There's intrinsic factor as well. We're still kind of on the boat of what exactly it's needed for, but there's your pepsinogen, pepsin, hydrochloric acid, mucus. I'll hit those four for sure. The being hungry, okay, is just kind of like a mental apparition here. There are three phases of digestion, okay. Well, we call them gastric secretion. And the whole idea, whenever you walk beside or walk near a Kentucky Fried Chicken or a McDonald's, part of their thing is getting that smell out there on the street, right? And the sight, smell, taste, or thought of food triggers what we parasympathetic nervous response, where it all of a sudden there the gastric juices in your stomach start getting secreted. Your tummy starts to, oh, I'm hungry. Cephalic phase. It's all mental. The gastric phase there is when food is in the stomach, chemically and mechanically stimulates the release of gastrin there, which in turn stimulates the secretion of gastric juices. Reflex response also stimulated gastric juice secretion. So now we're into the stomach. Okay, and there are different things there that are going on once food enters the stomach. Intestinal phase, now we're into the small intestine. As food enters the small intestine, it stimulates intestinal cells to release intestinal gastrin, which in turn briefly promotes the secretion of gastric juices from the stomach wall. This phase primarily inhibits gastric juice secretion. So there's more. So there's your cephalic, gastric, and then there's your intestinal phase. Okay. Vomiting, just throwing it out there, is not a stomach event. Okay. Medulla oblongata there, the brain. Okay. So there are like yawning, sneezing, all these there that go in and around respiration and digestion, but they're really not. They're controlled by the brain. We'll get more into those there when we get into respiration as well. Small intestine, parts and the function. Okay, there are the three parts there. There's the duodenum, or you'll also hear it called the duodenum. Jejunum is the second, and then the last is the ileum. Okay, functions: digests, absorbs, secretes hormones, and digestive enzymes. Okay, it's really about finishing that absorption process, extracting the energy and the nutrients there from the food that we eat. And you'll remember there on the mucosal layer, remember these little invaginations there. It's all about increasing the surface area. Okay, so the wall there, the inside wall of the small intestine isn't perfectly flat at all. It has these villi and then microvilli. Okay, and you'll see. So the villi, these are folds meant to increase the area for absorption. And if you spread out the area there of the small intestine there, you have an area there that's bigger than a tennis court. So as we said earlier, there's lots of room for digestion. Inside of these villi there, you have these lacteal. And this is all about absorption, right? There is your blood vessels, okay, ready to absorb nutrients, okay? And right there, there's a lymph vessel right in between. So if there's anything there that gets left behind, the lymph will suck it all up. The end products of digestion delivered there directly to the hepatic portal system. Hepatic means liver. As I said, all this food there that gets absorbed doesn't go immediately back into the blood. It goes right to the liver, what we call the hepatic portal system. Okay. More accessory digestive organs here. There's the liver. We'll have a look. There's your gallbladder, okay, for bile storage. And then we have the pancreas, which is mucho bueno importante. All right. Liver functions. These are only some. The liver is superhuman. It really is. So please take care of it. Drinking there is very, very harmful to the liver. And so just take care of your liver, please, please. Synthesis of bile salts, okay, for fat digestion, okay. Synthesis there of plasma proteins, storage of glucose, fat-soluble vitamins. We will touch lightly on vitamins there, the whole idea there that there are water-soluble vitamins and fat-soluble vitamins. Now, vitamins are a multi-billion-dollar industry, and the majority of it just goes right down the toilet. These water-soluble vitamins, you know, we use what we use in a daytime, and the rest we don't store them. They just go out in our urine. Okay. Fat-soluble vitamins, these are the ones there that aren't readily removable. And you can go on YouTube there, and you'll see there that some loving mom, you know, was working the afternoon shift, and the son would come home and he would eat, you know, as a 9-10-year-old boy, would eat these gummy vitamins as candy. And, you know, he'd eat 10 or 12 of them there a day, and this went on there for months, and then he started to having liver trouble. Well, these gummy vitamins there, all the water-soluble vitamins, they just went out into the urine. But the fat-soluble vitamins, they didn't. They accumulate in the liver. And I guess this little boy, beautiful little boy, 9, 10, 11 years old, now has the liver of a 90-year-old drinker. And the only way to get rid of these fat-soluble vitamins is to use them, and that takes time. So just be careful. Detoxification there. Liver is the main organ for drug detox. Excretion of bilirubin, cholesterol, drugs, metabolism of carbohydrates, proteins, fats, phagocytosis, chomp chomp, Pac-Man. Okay, these are the Kupffer cells, macrophages as well. So the liver does a lot. It really, really does. The hepatic portal system. The whole idea there that once the food gets absorbed through the inner wall there of the small intestine, there is a kind of a mini highway between the intestines and the liver. And the whole point of this hepatic portal system is to move nutrients that have just been absorbed, okay, and detoxify them, make sure that they're clean and ready to deposit into the blood system. So this is what we call the hepatic portal system. Okay, the end product of digestion flow through the portal vein to the liver. Okay, so it's the portal vein, the hepatic portal vein that carries this food from the small intestine directly to the liver. Okay, where the liver processes the end product of digestion, discharges blood through the hepatic veins and into the inferior vena cava, and that's where the food returns or comes back into the blood. So the liver lobules and bile here, when we're talking about bile formation, it's formed from blood there, and the liver lobules assist in digestion of fat. So bile, okay, and if you've ever had a bad throwing up event there where you've vomited and you've expelled all the contents of your stomach, and then you could even keep going and start to expel bile. That's that greenish liquid there, okay? You know that you don't have any more food content once that has reared its ugly head. So bile is stored in the gallbladder. Composition there, water, cholesterol, bile pigments. The hepatic cells use constituents there of the blood to manufacture bile. The green structures in the illustration here represent bile-carrying ducts. Okay, these tiny ducts are called bile caniculi, and they drain into larger ducts. Okay. The biliary tree there, okay, the ducts there that connect the liver, gallbladder, pancreas there to the duodenum, hepatic ducts, cystic ducts, common bile ducts. Okay, ducts, if you remember there's endocrine glands which do not have a duct. Exocrine glands, they do have a duct. And a duct is just a throughway. It's a segment there that allows for the excretion of something from somewhere to other way. Okay? An endocrine gland does not have a duct. And if it produces something, okay, there's no real throughway for that chemical to get from A to B. But when you see a duct, and we'll show you there the common pancreas duct and gallbladder. We'll show you these there in a second. Oh, the internet decides to come on. Well, we ain't doing that. So, unbelievable, the internet. Oh, I can't believe it. The gallbladder there is pear-shaped sac on the underside of the liver, concentrates and stores bile, attached to what we call the common bile duct or cystic duct. Fat in the duodenum stimulates the release of the hormone CCK, okay, cholecystokinin, which causes gallbladder to contract, eject bile into the common bile duct and to the duodenum. You'll see, we'll show you that there in a little bit. This is just a radiograph there of gallstones within the gallbladder. And you see how the bile there can concentrate and crystallize. The pancreas. And we'll just kind of, well, we don't need to zoom in. We can just kind of see what's going on here. There's your gallbladder. Liver's up here, okay? Here's your pancreas right in here. Your pancreas is both an endocrine and exocrine gland. Exocrine means it has a duct. Endocrine means it doesn't have a duct. So it produces chemicals, hormones there, that there is no duct throughway, but then you're talking the exocrine gland. We just zoom in here, okay, and you'll see there that when it's producing digestive enzymes there's your duct. Okay, continues on there. Pancreatic duct meets your bile duct. Okay, and right into the duodenum. Okay, but the pancreas will also produce insulin. Okay, it's an exocrine gland in that, an endocrine gland in that case there, because there is no duct, but we'll get more into that there as we go. Okay, so great shot. The pancreas is closely associated there with the small intestine. The pancreatic acinar cells there make up most of the pancreas. These cells produce pancreatic juice. So for the most part, the pancreas is an exocrine gland. Okay, these acinar cells there, they cluster around these tiny tubes there that merge to form larger ones, and this is what we call the pancreatic duct. Okay, the pancreatic and bile duct join. Okay, right in here, this area of the small intestine. Okay, you have the hepatopancreatic sphincter, which regulates the passage of pancreatic juice and bile into the duodenum. Okay, so hepatopancreatic sphincter, another ring of muscle there, and basically there you figured that all of this chyme coming out of the stomach, it's highly acidic, and the small intestine can't handle that. So what the pancreas will do is basically squirt in baking soda, okay, and which will neutralize the acid, allowing the food to pass through the small intestine there for absorption. Okay. The pancreas there produces, this is why we call it a dual functioning organ there, exocrine and endocrine. Okay, you've got these alpha cells there that produce glucagon, and then you've got beta cells there that produce insulin. Now the whole idea there that from the islets of Langerhans, these are these cells there, great name for them, eh? You can kind of see them right in here. Okay, if you zoom in and have a look, the beta cells there, they produce insulin. When the blood sugar level gets too high after you eat a Big Mac combo or a piece of cake, your blood sugar increases, which then is sensed there, okay, by the pancreas to produce insulin, and insulin lowers the amount of sugar in the blood. When the blood sugar gets too low, we go glucagon there, which ends up pulling sugar off the walls and dumping it back into the blood there. Okay, you've got somatostatin there, which is produced there by delta cells. This is all involved in carbohydrate regulation. There's a really good movie there I'm not going to play, but please pause the video and have a look. Here's another video on insulin and glucagon. Okay, and you have a look here when you're high blood glucose. Okay, and then you have when you have low blood glucose here. Okay, and the amount of insulin decreases, the amount of glucagon increases. They're pulling the sugar off the walls and dumping it in the blood. When you have high blood glucose level there, we get the insulin going, which then decreases the amount of glucose there in the blood. Large intestine, really not about absorption. That's already been done. So by the time food gets to the large intestine, it's basically about fecal compactment, vitamin K production there, because we have flora, good bacteria that line our entire large intestine, and we need that there. We die without them. Okay, and the whole idea there of yogurt, make sure you have a little bit of yogurt every day. It doesn't even have to be the expensive stuff. Okay, cheap yogurt is just as good as the most expensive, which I saw is crazy, man. For one tub of yogurt, I think I saw at Zehrs was $8. It's crazy. So there's a couple different parts here. You have the cecum. Okay, you have the ascending colon. Okay, it goes up. The transverse colon, which then goes across, and then you have the descending colon, which then goes down, and then we're into the rectum and then the anus itself. Functions of the large intestine: water absorption, just fine tuning. Okay, electrolyte balance there, synthesis of vitamins there by intestinal bacteria, as well as gas, temporary storage of waste, and then eventually there the elimination of feces and gas flatus. Okay, there's just a shot there, the rectum and the anal canal. Feces are mainly composed there of water, electrolytes, mucus, bacteria. The brown color is characteristic there because of decayed and old blood there gets the chomp. You get bile pigments there, which provides the typical color brown. The pungent odor is produced there by bacterial compounds. Okay, and I'm not too interested in these ones here, but the healthy bacteria, you need that. You think there that whenever you take an antibiotic, this is the whole thing. Antibiotics kill bacteria. So the next time there your doctor gives you antibiotics and you have a viral infection, should you really take those? Well, of course, take everything there your doctor says, but question, why would a doctor give you something that kills bacteria when you have a viral infection? Because the reason why I'm saying this is that when you take antibiotics, they kill all the good bacteria in your colon. You need that good bacteria, okay? And the reason why that good bacteria is there, it's actually a protection. Because if there is space on that wall, empty space, there's a probability there that bad bacteria can get nestled in there. And once it's in, how do you get it out, right? So, explaining there the physiology of digestion and absorption, okay? The effects of amylase, which we've already talked about, okay? Anything there that ends in ase is an enzyme. So amylase, what we talked about there with that bread experiment, okay? Digest starches, sugars. Proteases, they break down protein. Lipases, these guys here, they break down fats, okay? We'll describe 5 categories of nutrients there and discuss the importance of a balanced diet. We're almost done here, people. We're doing very good. And again, apologize there. The internet's back. It's just not my... Oh, it's not my year. Carbohydrates there, digestion and absorption here. Polysaccharide. Poly means many. Saccharide means sugar. Okay? There are your starches. Disaccharides, okay, sucrose, table sugar, is 2 sugars put together, disaccharides. Then you have monosaccharides, simple sugars, okay, single units like glucose. Protein digestion and absorption, here you're talking that hydrochloric acid. You remember, in the presence of hydrochloric acid, inactive pepsinogen gets changed there to pepsin. Okay, common proteases there. There's pepsin in the stomach, trypsin in the pancreas, chymotrypsin in the pancreas as well, enterokinase. I like this one right here. Okay. Yes, the whole idea there, you have a protein molecule with all of its individual amino acids there. Let's say that this was a piece of chicken. You eat it, you break it down in your stomach there, the proteases, they break these down into their individual components, and then we are able there to utilize these and rebuild into whatever we want, whatever proteins there we want. Okay? Fats are insoluble in water. As we know, oil and water do not mix. So how do you break down something by a person who is 75% water? How do you break down fats? Well, you need bile salts. Okay, it's kind of like soap in the effect there that this it emulsifies there. The bile splits and these big fat globules into smaller ones, and eventually into smaller ones and smaller ones and smaller ones and smaller ones, eventually making them water soluble. That's just kind of like the chemistry of soap, right? You have dirty hands. If you just put soap on it, it does nothing. You need soap and water to wash your hands. And that's what's going on here, right? With a little bit of soap and water and hand movement, you move those hands over top of one another there. And the whole idea there is that you're making these fat globules small enough so that the water can take it away, right? Kind of the same process here that's going on when you're talking about fat digestion. Nutrition there, the study of the relationship of food to the body is so important. You guys being healthcare practitioners, which is exactly where you guys are going to be soon. Okay, you've got to educate people because people don't know these things. The worst people on the planet there are advertisers, the people there who create the packaging on boxes and tubs and all these kinds of things that we buy at the supermarket. They will lie and cheat to get you to buy their product. Okay, please read the label. Know what you are eating. You are what you eat. Carbohydrates, sugars, okay, bread, starches, proteins, okay. Where do we get the majority of our protein from? Meat, right? Well, it's actually not the greatest source of protein pound for pound. The greatest source of protein pound for pound is peanut butter. Funny enough. Fats, lipids, we do need them. Vitamins, minerals, these are all part of it, right? So, carbohydrates, you have simple sugars, monosaccharides, disaccharides. Mono means one, di means two. Complex carbohydrates, polysaccharides, many sugars. Consist primarily of starch and fiber. Most carbohydrate consumption should be in this form. You don't want to have any of these ones here, they cause trouble. They're too easily digested. You look at Coca-Cola, alcohol, these ones here, it's so readily digestible that your blood sugar spikes so badly. You want complex carbohydrates, okay? Brown bread, these kinds of things. Eating an apple, all right? Yeah, there's actually a lot of sugar in an apple, but because of all the fiber, the complex carbohydrates, it takes your body a long time to break it down, so your blood sugar doesn't spike. Proteins there, essential amino acids, not synthesized by the body. We have to eat. We need these. There's non-essential amino acids here. These are ones there that we can produce on our own. Okay, we don't need to eat these particular amino acids in order to get them. We can make them. Complete protein contains all the essential amino acids. Incomplete protein does not. Fats there are saturated fat. These are animal fat. These are solid at room temperature. These are this is the bad fat. If it's a solid at room temperature, it's going to be a solid in your blood. And that's the bad fat there that can cause heart attacks. Unsaturated fatty acid is an oil or a liquid at room temperature. These ones here come from plants. These ones here come from animals. Plant fat does not contribute there to cardiovascular disease because of the physics. It's a liquid at room temperature. It's not a solid. So therefore, it just goes with the flow. This one here is a solid. It stays a solid in your blood, and this one here is absolutely related there to cardiovascular disease. Okay, heart blockage, stroke. Essential fatty acids not synthesized by the body and must be consumed. Yeah, I'm not too interested in these ones here. If you guys got that one there, saturated, the difference, and unsaturated, which one is healthy, that one would be great. Just the whole idea of fat breaking down. There's a big globule of fat with some bile there. You see we break it down into its constituents, break it down even further, so therefore now it's able there to be moved by water. Okay. Vitamins, small organic molecules that help regulate cell metabolism. You've got fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, and K. Okay. These ones here can be stored in the body, but be careful. There's no way to get rid of them, okay, if you take too much. Water-soluble, B and C. Okay, these ones here, the majority of it just goes down the toilet. Yeah, vitamins, we really shouldn't need vitamins in this day and age, okay, with the amount of healthy food, but it's just a way of topping up, and don't count on vitamins to provide you all of your nutrients, okay, because a lot of them there, they just go right down the toilet. Minerals, inorganic substances needed there for normal body function. Sodium chloride, this is table salt. Potassium, calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, iron there for blood. Iodine there for your thyroid. There are certain trace elements there as well. Copper there, the ones there that we need in very, very, very small amounts. Okay. A balanced diet. It has to be. You cannot just live on meat. Okay, you can't just live on veg. Well, you can if you take care. When you're talking veg there, you need that daily source of protein, right? So whether you're eating beans, legumes, peanut butter, these kinds of things there, you do need that protein, okay? So it has to be a healthy, balanced diet. Appetite control. Your appetite is all in your hypothalamus. And you'll see there are those semi-glutide medicines there like Wegovy and just be careful. Please follow your doctor's orders to the letter of the law. But the whole idea there, it slows down the digestion process. So instead of a sandwich taking an hour to digest and break down and move on through, it takes hours. So you're not as hungry. All right. Digestion diagram from Rooter to Tutor. Everything there is pretty good. We didn't really go into the spleen, but we will there later on. Okay, but all of this there is good stuff. Have a look at it. Quiz 4 goes out there either this afternoon or tomorrow. I'll let you guys know about that. And again, apologize there for the, just seems every week there's some issue going on, but I hope you guys are okay. We'll talk to you guys later. Be well.